Hey there. Okay. Welcome. We are on day two of making more money using this model. Oh my, the hair's kind of crazy. I just came from an event, parked the car, ran in, and here I am. Hello, everyone. Hi. Okay. So here's what we are going to talk about today. Our thoughts. Okay. We talked about the model yesterday and how we have circumstances in our life that are factual. Let me just double check. Hello, oh, here we go. Someone just told me they couldn't hear me very well. And I do believe, hello. Okay, I can hear myself and okay, that sounds different. Good. I had to switch the mic. Sometimes I still have it on my other mic. So I wanted to double check that. Okay, so what we did on day one is we talked about circumstances and we talked about that there's a difference between a circumstance and a thought about it, between a fact and our opinion, between what's happening and what's our story about it. Okay. And how circumstances are things that are outside of ourselves, things we cannot control. We think we can and we want to, but we can't. Okay. So today we are going to focus in on the thoughts. So your homework, what if you chose to accept it, was to really do a thought download on either your business or money in general, or what that, or your job. Okay. Whatever spoke to you. Okay. Lean into whatever it was that you're here for. You had a goal for the week, and so whatever was going to be helpful for you to really get out your thoughts about thoughts versus the facts of the situation. We talked about some circumstances. Let me see. Do I have the right? Yeah, I guess I do. Hold on one sec. We talked about how there are different circumstances and that we have thoughts about them. I'm laughing because the lighting is look like I went off into a dark corner there. Okay. I do have some common real estate circumstances. However, not everyone here is in real estate. So you could use your business. And a lot of these are very much like what you might find in a client facing business, right? The person you're working with, right? Your clients, the number of clients you have, how long you've been in business. So a lot of times I hear people say, well, I'm new. I'm new in this business. And what we're working on today, we're going to talk about thoughts. So I'm new in this business may seem just factual, right? Yeah, I'm new. But not all of us could agree what new means, right? Somebody's version of new might be, oh, I just started yesterday. Somebody else's version of new might be, I've been doing this for 5 years. I'm still new, right? So it can't be factual. And also, I want you to think about how does it make you feel when you think I'm new? So really think about that. Okay, we've got lawn people. We've got them out there working on the lawn. Shut the door there or the window there. But when I think, if I'm in my business, if I'm thinking about my business and I'm thinking I'm new, I feel a little hesitant, maybe a little inadequate, right? Like I'm new. I feel hesitant. I feel like I'm afraid, like a fear of like saying the wrong thing or making a mistake. So I hold back. Okay. So the purpose is to decide how you really want to think about something because, as we talked about, our thoughts create our feelings, which are the fuel that drive all of our actions. Okay. That dictate how we're showing up in the world, how we're showing up in our business, in front of clients, in our negotiations, right? Whatever it may be, how we're just showing up for our daily life. Okay. So separating out the facts from our thoughts about it, right? Writing contracts, receiving contracts, presenting just specific words that somebody said to us, whether it's your broker or your co-op agent or whoever it is. If it's a client at your business, if you work in a job, somebody was in here before who worked in a convenience store. The words the people who come in the door say to you, those are just neutral. The words are neutral. There was an angry customer. That's our thought about it, maybe. Okay. Even if many people could agree that person was angry, when we're thinking, oh, there's angry customer came in, I immediately either want to hide because I feel some fear, or maybe puts us in like the fight mode, defense mode. Okay. So it's all about, how does that thought make us feel? So some common thoughts. And this week we're talking about making more money, right? So, whoops, touch, just tippy tap, tippy tap that a little bit down. Okay. I call these $0 thoughts. Okay. Most of these thoughts are going to produce zero money for you, or way less money than you could be bringing into your business and into your life. Okay. And I'll, we'll substitute out like the market, which is my real estate clients, for like the economy or the business that I'm doing, or working this job, right? This is hard. Negotiating, like working with people, this is hard. I've tried everything. Listen, if you don't have the amount of money you want in your life, I guarantee it that you have not tried everything. This is not about working harder either. It's about taking the thoughts that we're just living in, believing they're true, that we're hearing around the office from other people, right? Other people are constantly giving us their thoughts. Here, let me share my limiting beliefs with you. You're always going to get that. You always get to decide what you want to think about anything. Okay. I'm going to butcher this quote, but like Viktor Frankl has a quote that the last of freedom is being able to think however you want to think about something. Total paraphrase that. But it really is true. Nobody can take our thoughts from us. Okay. We always have the power. That is where we get our power in the model, is we take all of our power back in that thought line. Okay. So I hear this a lot in real estate. Buyers are liars. Or maybe you have that in your business, like clients, oh, they just lie. They tell you they want one thing and then they say they want another. They're liars. How do you feel when you think that? So today we're going to mix the thought and feeling. So we kind of have day 2 and 3 kind of intermingling together, but I really want to focus on the thoughts right now. There's so much to do. My mom called me this morning and I was driving and I was talking to her at the same time because I was on a half-hour drive, multitasking, right? I had it on Bluetooth and she's like, "Oh, sounds like you have a busy day." And I said, "Well, I'm really working to eliminate the word busy from my life. Because here's the thing, I've chosen everything that's on my schedule for today." Okay. And so I had that choice. When I think it's a busy day, first of all, I have no power over whether it's busy or not then. Right? I have no power. It's just busy. Like, I'm the one who created my calendar, right? It's not just busy. So then that takes away all my own responsibility over my own life, thinking I'm busy. A lot of us use "I'm busy" as a badge of honor. But here's the thing, when you're thinking, "Oh, I'm so busy today," how does it feel? I'm going to ask you that constantly. When you think in relation to maybe your schedule for the day or your business or how many client appointments you have today, I'm so busy. Even if you think of it in a way as, oh, but it's good. It's a good busy. I hear that a lot, but it's a good busy. Or, oh, I'm so busy. I'm overwhelmed. Okay. When you think I'm busy or overwhelmed, it's not the number of clients you have. It's your thought, I'm so busy. And then sometimes people will really stress to me like, but I'm so busy. And it's good, Melanie. It's a good busy. But really think about how you feel when you're busy. And this isn't the class for it, but getting into like that rise and grind mentality. It's kind of the class for it because we're talking about making money. Working hard does not equal more money. Grinding it out does not equal more money. Okay. The patriarchy that we have, the patriarchal society that's been set up for us tells us you have to work hard. So we as women often we have those internalized beliefs. We have to work hard to make money. And I hear this a lot when people are like, that deal was so easy. Maybe I should pay them for it. Or, whatever it is, like, oh, I shouldn't charge so much. It's like, no, it doesn't have to be hard. The way you make money is you put value into the world. Okay. So it's an exchange of value. It's not, I didn't work hard enough for this paycheck, or I worked too hard to only make this amount. Like, no, it's not about how hard you work. Okay. So think about like some of these thoughts, like what kind of thoughts came up in your thought download. Feel free to put them in the chat if you want to share that from Monday. If you were in Monday's class, the day one circumstances, your homework was to go do that thought download. What are all my thoughts about this? This isn't enough. I don't make enough. I need to put more hours in to have the amount of money that I want to make. Yep. Okay. It's a thought, right? What if that wasn't true? What if we dropped all the layers of all the thoughts everyone in the world has offered us as rules and as truth and decided, like really thought about, like, but what if that wasn't true? What then? Okay. We're going to talk a little bit about empowering versus disempowering questions too. So I'm doing something wrong. I'm not good at, okay, listen. Anytime there's something in our business, the first thing I want you to look at is if you're telling yourself, you need to learn tech to make more money. What if that's not true? There's a lot of people out there who don't know much about tech and they're making a butt ton of money. Okay. So then when you're thinking, I need tech, but I'm not good at tech, there's nothing you can do. It's just hopeless. You're never going to make any money. Is the thought. Like that's underneath it. Like, oh, you give away all your power to create more money in your life and in your business. Do you see how that can be true? Yeah. Yes. You've got some people saying, I can feel that. I can feel the difference. I can feel that. It's like a needy, graspy energy. So when you're going to a client appointment, right? And you're thinking, I need them to sign this contract, it creates an energy within you. And what happens is you may think, but I need them to sign this contract. I have a business. I need to make money. And this is how I make money in my business. And blah, 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 blah. Yes, there's a lot of facts in there, but it's perception. It's your story about it. It's how you're creating this feeling inside of you that may turn to a graspy neediness that is like a BO. I call it your energetic BO. And no matter how much you think you're what do I want to say, hiding it, no matter how much you think you're hiding that thought deep in there, I really need them to sign this contract, but I'm going to play it cool or whatever it is. They can smell that. They may not even quite, like, it may not even quite gel in their brain what's happening, but there's something, there's a reason then that they're not going to sign it. Because being on the receiving end of somebody who is like, you better sign this contract so I can pay my mortgage payment, that doesn't feel good. Like, I don't want that. So here's a fun little game my coach taught me. I love this. This is so good. Think the thought that you're thinking like, oh, I'm not good at negotiating. Do you want to work with me? Right? So if you imagine you were saying that thought to that client, right? We have a lot of limiting beliefs. And so I think I had like negotiating on here, right? I'm not good at negotiating. Do you want to work with me? No, they're not going to want to work with you. Even though you think you're hiding that, it's in there. It's like the energetic BO, right? I really should have more business. Okay. It's kind of an entitled feeling. Why? Why should you? Right? Sometimes we feel so entitled, like, oh, people should be paying me. People should be signing up for my program or signing up to work with me to do whatever it is that you do, right? Sell houses or whatever. And then the comparing and despairing, they have what I don't have. Like when we're looking around at other people in our industry and we're comparing ourselves to them, either way, whether we're comparing and we're like, oh my gosh, they're so much better than me, it feels shitty. Or if you're looking and going, well, at least I'm better than that person, that feels pretty shitty too. Okay. That's that judgy energy instead of really owning, like, oh, we're all on our own time frames. It feels so much better. This is what I want you to practice is when you're thinking a thought, how does it make you feel? And that is one way for you to differentiate whether something is a circumstance or it's your thought or story about it. It will elicit, if it's your thought or story, it's going to bring up some kind of emotional reaction. Okay. Our thoughts in our brain create our feelings. There's like a chemical reaction that courses through our body. Okay. And the better acquainted you get with your feelings, oh, I'm feeling nervous right now, or oh, I feel embarrassed. My face is hot, stomach's kind of crampy. I just want to curl up. Right. Or I'm really angry right now. My whole body starts tingling. Right. It's never the circumstance that creates our feelings. It is always your thought about it. So for example, if I'm working in a store and a customer comes in and they walk up to the counter and they say, "You better fix this for me." You might have a different thought about that than I do. My thought might be, "Oh, tell me, what's up? What's going on for you?" Right? When you can get to love, grace, or compassion, I always say love, grace, compassion, or humor is always available to you. Um, you can kind of let down your defensiveness, like, oh, there's an angry person, up go the defenses. And then you show up in a argumentative way. You're either going to go hide or you're going to be like, okay, I'm ready to battle. Doesn't have to be that way. Byron Katie tells us the first act of war is defense. Okay. So I just kind of wanted to go through, ooh, I'm wasting time. That's one that you really want to explore because when you look to your past, you're like, oh, I've wasted time on projects like this before. I don't want to do it again. It blocks you from trying new things. Okay. So if you think, oh, that's going to be a waste of time, what if there's no such thing as wasting time? Like there's only decisions on what you want to try or not try or experiment with in your business. Okay. So there's a lot of thoughts. I need anytime. So so there's chows. Okay. So chows, like CHOWS. C stands for like, I could have done that. Okay. Take that out of your vocabulary. Have to for H. O is ought to, right? I could have done that. I ought to do this. I have to do that. I'm out of order. W, I would have. Even want. Sometimes when we say I want something, that equals lack. It means we need it. So that's going to come up, like that graspy neediness. I teach my clients how to want from abundance. Okay. Wanting the things you have as well as things that you want to create in your life. It's a whole different feeling than just like, oh, I really want that thing. And then S for should have. Okay. Anytime I hear should have, that's just equals shame. Like, oh, I should have done that, or I should do this, or I should have done that, presuming we're not doing it or didn't do it, right? Then we create shame in our bodies, the feeling of shame. So, also should does not belong in the circumstance line. Could, none of that, right? It's out of my control. Okay, so all of these are $0 thoughts. I promise you. So you did a thought download on your business. It doesn't have to be real estate, right? You either did a thought download on your business, money, job, okay? And then pick one thought that came up that you found interesting. I always like to just be like, oh, that's an interesting thought. Let me model that out. Let me check it out. So now, after you've done your thought download, okay, put whichever one you just put one up in the circumstance line. Okay, my business, money or job. Let's just say your thought is, I should be farther along. Okay. So you're looking at whatever it was, like that could apply to anything. Like maybe at your job, you're like, I should have had a promotion by now. I should be farther along. You're looking at your money, or you're thinking about money. I should have more money, right? Or your business. I should be farther along. I should have more clients. I should, whatever it might be. So let's just play. What put in the chat, tell me like what feeling comes up for you if you're looking at whatever your circumstance is and you're thinking, I should, like I should be more, I should be farther along. I should frustrated. Yeah. That's what came up for me, like frustrated, right? Annoyed, annoyed, oh, a lot of frustration, annoyance, shame. Ah, like I should be. Sometimes like I have had to do this a lot where I put my business or my money up in the C line and plus my age. I should be farther along. I was doing that work a couple years ago. That was some work there, right? Because that just seemed true. Right? So you get your thought and you plug it in the model and you decide what feeling comes from that. I'm going to put frustrated. Okay. Inadequate. That's a good one too. Yeah. Inadequate comes up for us in lots of different ways. That's like a feeling that goes along with, when they say imposter syndrome, right? I have imposter syndrome. There is no imposter syndrome. There's simply thoughts that we have about ourselves that creates feelings of inadequacy. That's all it is. That's all it is. So say you're in your work day and you're thinking, I should be farther along. I should have more clients. I should get that promotion, right? And you feel frustrated. What are some things you do when you feel frustrated during the day? Okay. Feel free to put them in the chat. Let's see, when I'm frustrated, one of the first things I do is I get up and I go get myself another cup of coffee. I'm not even thirsty. I'm just like, I got to get out of here. So I avoid, right? I avoid whatever it is. I'm looking at the bank account. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I've got some other people saying they snap. I'll say coworkers, right? Coworkers, colleagues. You said other agents and things, but yeah, coworkers or colleagues. Maybe you snap at your family when you get home. Okay. It doesn't even have to be in that moment. But when that frustration comes up because you're thinking I should be farther along in my business, feel frustrated. You maybe avoid whatever it is that's on your calendar or what you're doing at your desk. You may snap at your coworkers or your colleagues or your family when you get home. Someone said, don't make phone calls. I assume you make calls for work. Okay. What do you do in your head too? Right? What do you do when you're frustrated in your head? Think about getting a different job. Think about another job. Lots of things. Okay. So the result, remember we talked about how the result is always going to be evidence of our original thought? It's either going to be like a reflection, some kind of mirror thing. It could be proving yourself true. In this case, you're not moving yourself along at all, right? Because even though, like, say for a job, a promotion, in a way, it's out of your hands. You have to, like, the other person decides, but how do you make it so it is the most logical, like, no-brainer decision that your boss or whoever can make to be for you to be the one they promote? It's certainly not avoiding your work, snapping at your colleagues, not doing whatever your job is, thinking about you're like on company time or whatever, and you're like, looking on indeed.com, right? So none of this is going to get you any farther along, no matter what it is. Maybe it's money and you're just so frustrated about your money, but you're like avoiding. You're not doing anything to grow your money. Okay? And this feeling, it may be a little bit different for you, right? But any kind of a feeling that, like, if we feel shame, we're like sluggish in our bodies. We just want to hide. We call it the hiding emotion. So if you feel shame about how much money you have, it's not going to get you out there doing the things and being the person who people want to hire. I promise you this. The best thing I ever learned to do was first separate out my circumstances from my thought about it. And that's not even saying you have to change your thought. Because here's the other thing people might say, well, aren't you just fooling yourself? If, for example, like the first example I talked about, how I knew, right? People are like, well, aren't you just lying to yourself if you say, I've been in the business 10 years? Like, well, that's lying. You haven't been doing it for 10 years, but telling yourself I'm new is a totally optional thought. It creates feelings of inadequacy or maybe hesitation, right? Instead of saying, I am figuring this out, or I was born for this. I've been doing this my whole life, right? I'm ready. I'm ready to learn. It's a whole different feeling in your body. And here's the thing, we think it's so funny because we can pick intentional thoughts like, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be, which is just as true as I should be farther along. Maybe I should be farther along, or I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. The first thing I want to ask you, which one feels better in your body? They could possibly be equally true. But we're so stuck on believing the thought that our brain just basically spit out at us. We're like, oh, that must be my true thought, rather than a belief that I have cultivated and looked at and said, you know what? I'm choosing to believe this over here. But we're so busy just believing the random bullshit that our brain tells us that makes us feel terrible. We're like, no, but that's my true thought. I'm just fooling myself thinking I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. And so, yeah. So when I'm like, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be, it feels really good. It feels like, yeah, I got this. I feel confident. Doesn't mean we're never going to do anything. We feel confident, and then we're going to go out there and maybe make those phone calls if that's what you choose to do in your business or that's part of your business. You're going to learn new things. You're going to be willing to fail. Oh, if you're feeling confident and self confident, you drop all the self doubt, you are so much more willing to just be wrong about things. You're like, I always have my own back. It's okay to make a mistake. It's totally fine. Doesn't mean anything about my value as a human being. Okay. So, so we're talking about the thoughts. We talked about powerful, like yesterday I said we were going to talk about like powerful questions. So the first thing, so here's something I wanted to share with you too. Um, Going back to that thought we had, I should be farther along. Asking yourself the question why. You can go 5 deep, right? Like, I should be farther along. Why? Because most people my age are farther along. Why? Because they didn't have the terrible past that I had. Okay, why? Because they're so much smarter than me. Why? Well, because I'm just not very smart or like whatever. Whatever your 5 why deep, that's the real block that you have, right? It's not, I'm not farther along in my business. It's, I'm super freaking inadequate because I'm not smart enough to do this, which is not true either. Promise you. I promise you. Okay, so asking the 5 whys, and then answering them. Okay. And then finding a more powerful question is the other thing I wanted to talk about, because a lot of times our thoughts come out as a question. Why can't I figure this out? Okay. That's a good one. That one just popped into my head. Let's use that one as an example. Why can't I just figure this out? Okay. Maybe it's money. Maybe it's the business. Maybe it's growing the business. Maybe it's attracting clients to you. Maybe it is wanting to go find another job, right? Why can't I just figure this out? Guess what happens when you ask yourself that question? Your brain is going to get super busy sharing all of your inadequacies. Okay. It's not the brain's fault. It's just trying to protect you. Why can't I just figure this out? Well, because you're just not smart enough. Other people, they were meant for this. This thing's not meant for you. People like you, they never really go very far. Whatever it is, you don't look the part. You don't have the look that you need in order to whatever, right? You aren't articulate enough. So why can't I figure this out? Is that the one I said? Like, something like that. Something about not figuring out, right? Why can't I figure this out? You can just change that to a more powerful question, one with a more powerful answer. Okay. So when you have disempowering questions, you'll know it because your brain is going to offer you a bunch of bullshit about how you're not smart enough and you don't know how to speak. You're not, you're, again, see, inarticulate. See, sometimes I stumble on my words. I've been talking about this for years and I still stumble on my words. Totally fine. Doesn't mean I can't help someone. Mainly my job and with my clients is asking them really powerful questions because the answer is always within you. Okay, so notice when you're asking yourself a disempowering question, like, why can't I figure this out? The brain is going to give you a lot of very icky feeling thoughts, right? A lot of answers that are going to create a lot of really, and I don't like to use the word negative emotions, but really like not really good fuel emotions. Okay. So a more powerful question might be, I'm totally going to figure this out. I haven't figured this out yet, but I know I'm going to. It's possible that I could figure this out. It's possible I already know, but I haven't connected it yet in my brain. It's possible. I'm not sure I'm going to figure this out, and that's okay. Okay, so I like it's possible at the beginning, and that's okay at the end. And that's okay. That gives me some relief. Oh, how very human of me to think I'm not going to figure it out or to think, I'm not smart enough or whatever the thing is. How human of me. And from there, you create much more powerful fuel in the feeling line to go out and make more money. Okay. Whatever it may be, your feelings are going to drive all your actions. Um, Here's the thing about emotions. Emotions are day 3. But I was sort of combining them a little bit. We're just going to talk a little bit. My granddaughter's artwork here. See, we have so much fun around here. Oh, there's just so much artwork. I'm loving it. Okay, between our feelings and actions. Okay. If you are willing to feel any emotion, there is absolutely nothing that you're unwilling to do. Okay. So going back to the brain, our brains were designed with a motivational triad to seek pleasure, avoid pain, and be very efficient. Okay. Expend minimal energy. So it makes sense that our habit brain or our lower brain, whatever you want to call it, our amygdala, that part of our brain that's just trying to keep us safe is going to tell us, no, you can't do that thing. Because first of all, it wants to be super efficient. It's like, no, if you go out there and you're doing things, that doesn't seem very efficient to me. You're going to be expending a lot of energy, right? When we talk about taking action, we're going to talk about massive action versus passive action. Massive action doesn't even mean like exertion, but our brains don't know that. It's like avoiding pain. So it wants to be efficient. So if you do things differently, that is not very efficient. Okay. Our brains like to be very habitual. It doesn't like when you change things up. Okay. Avoiding pain now is like, if you start putting yourself out there more, if you set a big goal, the pain you might feel is what you're going to tell yourself if you don't quite reach that goal or what other people might think of you. And the other thing is we are like a tribal species. So anytime we say or do something that might separate us from the pack, from the other people, from the community, it feels like death because it would have been way back when. If we were separated from our community, if we were ostracized, we would be without protection, without shelter, warmth, food. right? All of that. And so that on a primal basis, that is very scary. Okay. So, and then seek pleasure. So way back when seeking pleasure was just, oh, I want to remember where those good berries are. Those really healthy good berries that make me feel good and energized. Or I want to go procreate because we're going to have babies, we're going to promote the species. Um, yeah, warmth. You got to be driven because we're so busy way back when we were so busy being comfy in the cave. We had to be driven to seek warmth and make the fires and go get the food and everything. Right. But nowadays, seeking pleasure is so very easy to do with false pleasures, overeating, over drinking, scrolling on Facebook. We're getting those little dopamine hits. Okay. But that in itself can instigate like a nervous system response, right? That fight, flight, freeze kind of response when we see something. And then we're seeing somebody else in our industry who's like just posted that they're killing it. And we're like, wait, I should be farther along. So just notice all of that. Okay. And then notice how it feels. But going back to this, if you're willing to feel an emotion, there's nothing you're unwilling to do. If you are willing to feel fear and make a phone call and offer your services to somebody and have them say no, you, who knows what could happen, right? If you're willing to feel the fear of, like now it's like posting something on social media about your business, right? Promoting yourself. I was just coaching a client today about uh, the amount of money she's made, and she doesn't want to be boastful about it. And so there were a lot of thoughts around that. Like you shouldn't boast about your money. You shouldn't brag. I'm like, why not? Like that's like society has these rules that we can just start to question. Like, oh, this is a rule I've been following. I don't think I want to follow it anymore. I don't like the results it's getting me when I follow this rule that I can't promote myself and my services. Okay. So that's a lot to do with thoughts and feelings today. I mean, they really are a step in and of themselves. We have a thought which creates a feeling in our body. Some of you may notice the feeling first. Like it's just really interesting coaching so many different people. Some people I'll say, well, how did you feel? And they'll be like, well, I felt blah, 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 which is the thought, which is how we all talk. We're like, well, I felt like I shouldn't do the thing or whatever it was. It's like, that's not a feeling. Your thought was, I shouldn't do that thing. And you felt maybe fear, for example, right? Well, why shouldn't you? Question the thoughts. Well, I shouldn't because I remember when I was young, my grandma told me that ladies sit up straight in their chairs. Whatever it is, I'm just throwing out silly examples. But like really noticing, where did that belief come from? Where did that rule come from? And do I want to follow it? Some of them, yeah. Like, yeah, I like that rule that that I'm nice to animals. Like I was brought up to be kind to animals and pet them nicely and gently. Right. And I'm like, yeah, I kind of like that rule. That's a good one that fits in my life. Right. So noticing what are your rules that you might have around your business and money or your job or how you're supposed to be in the world, how you're supposed to look if you're in a certain profession, how you're supposed to speak, right? So I just want you to question all the thoughts that came up. Ask yourself why multiple times. If you're looking at a circumstance, if you're looking at your money and you're like, oh, I feel scarce around, I feel fear. Like I feel like it's not enough, right? What's the thought? The thought is it's not enough. Ask yourself why. right? Again, like the number in the bank account, simply a circumstance. Okay. What are you making that number mean? We talked about that the first day, right? Like that's your story about it. It's what you're making it mean. So, um, so for today, so Monday you did all your thought downloads. For today, I want you to do the first part of the model with whatever thoughts came up, whatever thoughts seemed the most interesting to you. I've got so many of my granddaughter's pictures on here, but I just want you to do the first part of the model. C, E, F. Okay. So put your circumstance in there again, whether it's money, your business, your job, put that in the C line. That's a circumstance. We could all look and see, like, yep, she's a real estate agent or whatever it is. She works for X bank, whatever it might be. She's a stay-at-home mom. Okay. Your thought, what is the thought you want to pick out of your thought download that seems interesting to you or seems like it's causing you some friction, right? Put what just one of them. Doesn't matter because all thoughts lead to Rome. All thoughts lead us to what's really going on for us. Okay. So put your circumstance in. What is your thought about it? Like ask yourself, what am I making this circumstance mean? Um, what do I think when I see that circumstance, when I'm in that, when I'm thinking about it? And then what is the one feeling, one word? Okay. So the circumstance could be like a couple things like my business, 5 clients under contract, X amount of dollars, right? Like that could be your circumstance. What is the thought about it? What are you making it mean? And when you're looking at that and thinking this thought, how do you feel? So the thought is simply like a phrase. It's a simple sentence. If you think of it like I just have sentences in my brain. Okay. Usually it's more of a phrase, but boil it down to one little phrase. And then how does it feel? And it's a one word emotion. And don't get all tripped up on the emotion. If the most you can come to is, I feel bad, but bad, that's okay. So this is what I want you to practice till our next class. We're going to talk about actions. But I want you to start to notice anytime you're attributing the circumstance to your feeling, because C's don't cause F's. Never, ever in the history of ever. Okay. Because if, like, you will look at that circumstance and ask yourself, could everyone agree that this is a fact? Okay. I mean, we're not going to get super technical, like, yeah, I'm sure there's some weirdo somewhere who has a different, who would think it's not true. But things like the sky is blue, like, the majority of people, maybe not today, but would agree that it's blue. They might agree what make and model car you drive. They might agree where you get your paycheck from is where you work. They would look at your books and see how much money you have or whatever it is. Okay. That's a circumstance. And then so just work on the first 3 steps of the model and just start to notice how thoughts are creating your feelings. Okay. And then tomorrow or our next class, we're going to talk about what do you do? What do you not do? What's going on in your head when you're feeling that feeling? Okay. And then we're going to tie it all up. So awesome. Thoughts create feelings. Promise you. Okay. Even like when you have a nervous system response, yes, there are some automatic feelings, but then we still have thoughts about those feelings. Okay. That's next level stuff. Let's start with the basics. All right, you guys. Thanks so much for being here. Oh, I love you too. Thanks so much. Yes. You guys, this model, looking at life this way has changed my entire world, and I want to share it with you. It's so important to me. And I've said this before, but when we're trying to separate and pull apart, like, okay, what is the circumstance? What's my thought? how am I feeling? What am I doing? Right? When we're picking all that apart, it's like a, when your necklaces get all tangled up in the drawer, right? We're just things out, pull the string, just like what's happening for you. That is what working with a coach one-on-one is like. We can't read the label when we're inside the jar. We cannot see the water we're swimming in. Okay. So for both things, like when we're in our heads, we don't see that something is just a circumstance and a thought combination, right? We don't see that. We think it's just a fact. And having a coach be able to see your thoughts clearly, notice those patterns. Did you notice? Like my client today, the money client, everything was going back to her circumstance was forcing her to do things or not do things, whether good or bad, quote unquote, good or bad. She was attributing everything to her circumstance. And here's the thing, if you attribute the results in your life to your circumstance, um, you're never going to get any power in your life. You're going to be powerless in your life. What I want to do is show you how you take back all that power in your life and create any result that you want. Okay. Regardless of the circumstances, regardless of the number in your bank account, how old you are, where you live, who your family is, right? You take back all your power in that thought line. And yeah. So again, working together one-on-one. And then the water we're swimming in is the society we live in. Where are the rules that society has programmed into us? Where are they creeping? Where are they creeping out of? Like, how are they showing up? And the things that we're doing or not doing. How is society showing up in our result line? Right? The rules we're following are in of society or our family of origin or things like that. So being able to spot those, that's next level. Like we got to put that together. It's not just thoughts. It's like society too. Okay? So anyway, that's your homework. Thanks so much for being here, you guys. Oh, I love you. Yes. Yes. Um just one of my clients here telling me that her last session was a huge breakthrough. And yeah, it's beautiful. It's such a beautiful thing to witness, right? Just asking you some questions. You got to your own greatness. Like that was all you. I just asked some questions. I kind of point some things out and you take it from there. Like you roll with it. It's your life. I am not telling you what to do. I'm just showing you what's possible for you. If we do start to question a lot of that. Okay. All right. Love you guys. See ya. Bye.